do not reflect those of WSMN, its owners, and/or associates.
Lisa and Robyn are two fun friends diving deep into conversations where nothing is taboo. They believe in eating dessert before dinner and wearing the bikini. They're allergic to labels, authority, and cheap shoes. Currently, they're launching themselves through life being the good time, bold enough to take risks and inquisitively asking, what's next? They hail from New Hampshire, but they could be anywhere dressed in cute clothes. If they had to share a tombstone, it would read, "Curiosity killed these cats." Your hosts, Lisa and Robyn, on the mic.
Welcome to Lisa and Robyn on the mic. You're listening on WSMN 1590 AM, 95.3 FM. You can watch, stream, and listen on WSMN.live as well as Facebook, YouTube. And you can catch us every Thursday live from 10 to noon. And if you miss us, you can catch up with us on Spotify or any of those other fantastic channels that we've mentioned. So we're going to talk about values.
Values.
So I thought I would start with a value is a belief or ideal that guides a person's behavior and actions. They can be shaped by many factors. Your family, you can inherit values. Culture, people are predisposed to adopt the values of their culture. Personality, some inherent to who you are fundamentally. Your life experiences. Affiliations, they are important because they determine what's desirable or undesirable, and they motivate you to act in a certain way. So,
it's what we attach importance to. Importance. That sounds funny.
And it's a belief, so it becomes your philosophy. If you live in accordance, if you know what your values are,
Yes.
if you identify them and know what they are, they turn into a philosophy.
Yes.
Which guide you, which
It's
are
a
the
way
bumper.
of living.
Yeah, it's the bumpers so that you can stay within a very certain, not necessarily narrow, but a very certain parameters for how you live your life that will make you what you feel, what you internally believe, and how you act will all be aligned so that you don't have cognitive dissonance. I think where we get upset and we don't even know why, we're just unhappy, is because we are not living in accordance with some part of our value system. And we know it.
We're
and so
creating
it
a
upsets us.
standard of living. Even serial killers do it.
Right.
I mean,
they're just screwed up value systems.
Right. But they still have a system that they live by. And, they don't pick out, you have to meet their criteria to be the victim. So,
Right.
I mean, they do have their own core values. So I read a quote the other day because I said, okay, so one of my core values is relationships.
Mm-hmm.
It's people. And I read this one. I was like, oh, that kind of fits in. The problem is that we are always looking for someone to grow old together with. But while the secret is to find someone to stay a child with. And I love that.
I think that's really nice.
It reminded me, and you said, the best part of going back to Disney as adults is, you and John got to relive, and you guys are always laughing and joking around and having fun and being silly, and he gets your level of sarcasm, you get his, and it's not taken offensively, and I love that. I admire that, and I put a lot of value in it.
Yes, and I think that's probably how we knew that each other was our person, where he would say something and say four people would not get it, but I would giggle.
Yeah.
And that was like, okay, you're my people.
Yes.
You get me.
Yes.
Because when you think about it,
because I think that's what we're always looking for.
We're looking for someone to get us. So
friends,
our friendship.
Yeah.
You get me.
Yes.
On a fundamental level, and not one that I have to explain.
Yes. It's always telling, you say something funny. There's so many times I say something that's so funny and I think, oh my God, that is brilliant. Just a brilliant comeback or a brilliant thing. And then it loses its power to me when you have to explain it.
Right.
And you're like, what? I didn't get that.
It's the same thing with a joke.
Or that's not funny.
If I deliver the punchline and you touch my arm and go, oh, honey, and I'm like, no, that was a joke.
Yeah,
that was funny.
And that's an indicator. That's a metric right there that says, that's probably not my people. It's probably not my people. But say a lot of times, and you can go through a lot of times, it's easy for us as humans to say, if you say, what do you want? Or what is your value? Do you want this?
No, it's okay. I don't have any paper to write with. I was just going to say, I wanted you to expound on relationships. What about relationships?
Oh,
do you
yeah. Give me a
value?
minute. So what was I saying before? I wanted to finish that one.
When we were talking about when people get us.
Yes. People get us. Then I was rewinding it and saying something about, I don't know. Anyway, I move on. It's like,
It will come back when you're in the middle of another thing.
So relationships are, to me, is important to me. So people say, that reminded me. So a lot of times when people say, what do you want? We'll say, I don't know. Or what do you believe? You know, we always start with the things that we don't want. And a lot of times that can be finding out that's part about what your value system is too. Find out what you don't want. Or find out if it really is. You say community is one of your core values. Well, to me, community is people. It's people. It's your group. It is family. And I feel like how you show up for those people, how you show up for your relationships, tells you and tells everybody else whether it's important to you or not. If you don't place value into it and you don't feel like, say that when you get married, and you know we all get complacent, and we get comfortable, and we get into routines, and then we forget why we fell in love in the first place. We forget why we had, sometimes we forget why we had kids in the first place, or, raising young kids. What was the purpose of it? Why did we want that so much if we're not going to do the work to maintain it? It's like, I'm going to be a farmer. I'm going to be a farmer, and I'm going to plant 100 acres.
And then I'm never going to till them or fertilize them,
right,
or reap what I sow. Or
well, you just kind of get tired of it, or like, oh, well, shit, I got horses too. I got horses too, so I got to go take care of the horses, and I got to go do this and go do this. And then you left your garden untended. It's just going to die. You have to constantly be putting into it. And I feel like relationships are important to me because I have had the gift to have some truly beautiful relationships, and there is important into something. It is something magical to be said about pouring into another human being, and there is to be seen.
Or to be poured into your human beings.
Yes.
So the people who are in your life, you give to.
Yes.
So everybody from, you have a family, and we were talking about this yesterday, that when I hear about your relationship with your kids, I always think, God, I wish I had that growing up.
See, and they might have a very different perspective from it.
No, because they never want to go anywhere without you, so they don't have a different perspective. And I laugh because you and my friend Carolyn, specifically, their children don't want to be away from them.
Yeah.
And I always joke, don't they want to go out and see the world? No, because you had amazing parents. Why wouldn't you want to be around amazing people? Well, your parents are not just your parents because they birthed you, but they're amazing people who you want to continue to spend your life with. That's amazing.
Well, but I also think that we as young people, we judge all relationships based upon that relationship when we're young. We don't have anything else to compare it to. We go out to we start school, and we're kind of on our own. We've left our family to be out on our own, and so we have to explore that. So the only tools that we were given those. And so I feel like if you look at it from my children's eyes, I hope that I've imparted something that, hey, this is a different kind of a relationship. I'm hoping that I can be a pattern interrupt, or I have a positive impact to say, maybe you will take some of the things that I gave to you and expand upon that, to grow that, to make that better. This is where I place value. So, I mean, even when they were little, I would leave, I didn't like school. I always left notes or like little treats in their lunch boxes. And it wasn't always on Friday, because I don't want you to expect it on Friday. I want you to know that you're worthy of it on Monday or on Tuesday. I let my kids, there was always a rule that we could always have a skip day, a hooky day. If you keep your grades up and you can maintain your grades, I don't mind. How many times do you want to say, you're going to blow off work or you're doing stuff? I don't think the school system sets up given with the homework, they don't give children time to decompress. So we're just growing these anxiety, monsters out there like that have to overperform all the time. You're not teaching them mind, body, and health and how to decompress and all of these things. So I just think that now that my children are a little bit older, I think that they can look back and appreciate the fact that, or at least hope, that they were valued, that they were heard, that they know how to have know how to communication. They know the importance of making memories and in doing things together, honoring your word. I feel like it is a blueprint. So I think that's why relationships are important to me, because at the end of the day, what else do we have?
Right.
We have ourselves, and we can be super rich and just retail therapy.
You have no one to share your money with.
retail our therapy into the coffin, or you could
but don't you
travel
even
by
want
yourself.
But retail therapy with somebody else, isn't the
Right.
whole point to have people to share it with?
Yes.
Because what I was saying yesterday, when I was 14 by myself going on Space Mountain for the first time in Disney World, because I was saying that it wasn't unusual back in the day. It's not like my parents were bad people because they didn't do things with me.
Right.
You were the child and they were the adult. Where now we do things with our kids.
Yes.
I'm on the monkey bars with my nephews. I'm down the slide with my nephews. My parents didn't do that. Rightfully so. It's difficult to go down the slides after a certain age, right? I don't even fit on some of these. I used to have to say, I don't think I fit on this one. I'm going to have to go on this ride with you. But going on Space Mountain for the first time, I wanted to share what it was like, and not just with my parents who didn't share it with me.
Yeah.
I wanted someone to share it with me. Everything's better together.
Yes, I think
with
so
the
too.
right people.
Yes.
But I don't.
Yes.
But I don't mind. I think it's so important to have the right people that I'd rather be alone,
Right.
than with bad people.
Yes. And that's why I think community, like if family, relationships. I say relationships. Some people might say community. Your tribe. It's a place where I feel like we do. We get what we give. So I want my core. I want them to give me what I give them. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that. I'm willing to give you compassion. I'm willing to give you love. I'm willing to give you, I'm willing to grow you. That was my hope, I guess. If I had to take it down to a singularity, one principle that I tried to raise my kids on is to knowing the importance of an environment that you can grow in. I want you to grow. I want you to expand. I want you to dream big. And it's my job to help you. I think that's your people. And I want people in my life like that.
It's like the thriving. Is the plant thriving in this environment?
Yes. To me, I think it truly allows you to be who you are.
Mm.
Not with guilt, not with shame, or, you should do this. I feel like 70s and 80s babies were raised on guilt and shame.
Yes, that's how they kept us in control.
Yes.
And that's one of my core values is freedom. But not in, I think people would assume freedom means without other people. But it means autonomy over myself.
Yes.
And sovereignty over myself. So it's why.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Love that.
It's why I believe the United States is the best place in the world, because we are free to not start a business, go to school. I mean, you have to go till you're 18, but you're not required to live a specific life.
Yes.
You are free to choose what it is that you want to choose and try to make that your life. So
Yes.
where my core value of freedom is, it's not, because one time I said that to someone and they were like, well, how can you be married? Because you can't be free if you're married. It's like, you can be free and married at the same time. Hopefully you are free and married at the same time. Hopefully this is not an arranged marriage, right? That you're
free to explore yourself.
Within your marriage, yes. But it's the freedom, it's the autonomy to do and be who you are.
Well, yeah, but you don't need, yes. I guess some people you have to have a disclaimer for that, but inside of your marriage. But if you're getting your needs fulfilled in a relationship, there's no reason to go outside of it.
Right.
Because love, to me, is, what we all are seeking is to be heard and to be seen. We want somebody to see our value. And so if somebody is showing you their value, then why do you need to step outside of that?
Right.
So I agree with you about freedom is...
But I think they thought you
Yes.
can't be tied to a person
Yeah.
and be free at the same time. But the truth of the matter is you are free to be yourself.
Yes.
And you are in the United States, you're free to run, work for the place you want to work. No one's making you work at Walmart. No one's making you work at
Right.
the bookstore. No one's making you work at the bank.
Right.
You have choice. It's not like
Right.
I think of that movie Divergent, where they have you're one of 5 people, and you are born into this almost like a caste system. You were born into, you're going to be a farmer. Everyone was a farmer. You're a farmer. You don't get to do anything else with yourself. So I think one of my overarching values is freedom, because everything else can be done under that. If I'm not free, then how can I be honest?
Right.
If I'm not free, how can I be compassionate? If I'm not free, if I don't have autonomy, how can I have all of these other ones? So one of my core values is freedom.
I think it's a good one. It is on there. And then I'm like, start listening. And a lot of times your core values you come up with, just look back about who you are.
Yes, the
Just go back and look.
piece.
Go back and look at, like, what are the things that I seek out? What are the things that I avoid? What are the things that I can't stand? What standard do I hold myself to? Am I regimented in my gym routine? Am I always exercising? So is it health? Is it fitness? Any of those
Beauty, I
things.
think you and I both have a value of beauty,
Yes.
because we're always trying to bring and make things beautiful.
Yes.
We're attracted to beautiful things, and then
Yes.
if something's not beautiful, we're always trying to make it beautiful.
Yes. Yes. One of mine is be impeccable with your word. I love it. Speak with integrity. Say only what you mean. Well, yeah, I fail at that often. Use the
It's the
power of your word.
arguments.
Use the power of your word in the direction of truth and love. But I just like the sound of being impeccable. I love the sound. I love impeccable. It's be spotless.
Mm-hmm.
Just be spotless with your words. And because you and I
Word
have a
people.
love of words. And I think that it's important because there's a lot of power in words.
So I think truth is important, because honesty and truth are synonyms. So are you being truthful? But then there are times when I think, how are you truthful? Because sometimes you can be hurtful truthful, right? Or you can be compassionate truthful. And I've been reading this book called Painkiller, and it's about Brant Myers, who was in the NHL, and he talks about his struggle with drinking and drugs and how it affected his life and his career. And he's been sober, but he wrote this book. And I actually copied this because I read it and I'm like, oh, I have to keep that. Blaming yourself and taking responsibility are 2 different things, if you didn't know. So one of the things he was talking about, a lot of times we blame ourselves for various things. And we think that's a substitute for taking responsibility. And blaming yourself, but taking responsibility for yourself are 2 different things. And I think blaming yourself almost has like a beating yourself up for you doing what you're doing, where taking responsibility for yourself is saying, okay, I did that, and it was wrong.
And then I'm going to move on. And then I'm going to change it.
And I'm going to do
or
what
I'm going to accept it.
do what I, do my best to accept it, not defend it, because I think when we blame other people, there is an element of now that person has to defend themselves.
Yes.
And I will find this other phrase that I like a lot too. It's very hard to, it's like 4 words and they're very hard words. But
I think a lot of times people blame other people because they're not willing to look. They're not willing to self-reflect. They're not willing to look back. And it was like just recently somebody said, a friendship was dissolving, and, this one person was, I just don't feel like we're even friends anymore. And this, the other person is like, I feel like I lost my best friend too. But I feel like there's two different people. There's two different ways at coming at it. One is looking for a loss. They're looking at the loss of the connection. Not really placing any blame, but the other one was like, well, yeah, I don't have this person's not doing this anymore, this or this anymore for me, so I've lost mine too. Well, it's coming from a place of like, well, I'm blaming the other person and saying, not being self-aware of our own actions to say, well, yeah, if I never call this person back, if I never pour into this person, they're not going to be my friend. If I'm always cussing at them, like, you beat a dog, how many times is it still going to be your best friend?
Right.
In like no ownership. And it's just like, well, I just lost mine too.
Mm-hmm.
What did you do? What did you do?
And how would you repair your friendship? Because a friendship is
right.
a foundational level. And we put so much emphasis in our life on spouses. Someone to, like you said, grow old with, right? But we grow old with our friends.
Yes.
We love our friends too. And isn't your spouse supposed to be your friend?
Yes.
And so, I forget where I was going to go with this. But it's such a foundational thing that where if you're in a relation, this is, I guess, where I was going to go. If you're in a relationship, say a marriage, and the marriage starts dissolving, is it because the friendship dissolved?
I think so.
But if you have a friendship,
the ability to not connect, it's the desire to not connect. I feel like most relationships fail because the garden is not being maintained.
mm-hmm.
Energy is not being put in. We're not showing the other person that they have value. We're taking advantage of the fact that they're there. And we've gotten to a normal routine. And, so actually, one of the things I wrote down is, if you're living your life right now, if your 22-year-old self saw you right now, would they recognize you? And I picked 22. I picked 22 because, we're young, dumb, full of, I'm not going to say the rest, but, we're
I don't think my 22-year-old self would recognize me.
We have a lot of hopes and dreams, and we still have that passion in the belief system. And like right now, where you are right now, if your 22-year-old self could look at you right now, would they be proud of you? Would they be sad for you?
I think they would be proud of me, but I don't think they would recognize me because I have so many different facets than I had when I was 22. I was growing up in with a drug addiction in my family. Your life is very, very chaotic. Very chaotic. And you have no control over anything.
But talk about the 22-year-old that has the hopes and dreams about what their future is going to look like.
My hopes and dreams were air traffic controller, moving out of the area. Like, I had a lot of... So, my career dream wasn't realized, which is fine. I have another dream now. But
But that's what you are, not who you are. Those are all circumstantial things. Who you are, your 22-year-old self. If to look at who you are as a person, the energy that you bring, the community the things that you do that are not material things, not your job, not your career, like how far you've come.
I think I was less compassionate then. I was less compassionate then.
So you think that she would be proud of you?
I think she would be proud of me because I think I'm more compassionate. I did have compassion back then, but it was regimented compassion. Yeah. It wasn't just open-ended compassion.
Yeah.
So I think the part of me that is different, but that's not to say I have a lot of the same similarities. I valued my freedom then too. I valued independence and autonomy. So that part's the same. I valued honesty the same. I had a lot of those same values. So you would think that the answer would be, of course I could recognize myself, right?
Yeah.
But so much of life has happened in such a way that I can't possibly be who that person would know, because I never knew so many of those things in my life would happen. I had no idea I would react to death the way I reacted. You know, that I reacted to loss the way I reacted, that I would ping pong from one thing to another to get me to a specific place. So I think I wouldn't recognize. I think I would be happy meeting me, like if you had the doppelganger, like time travel, where the 22-year-old meets me.
Hey, let's go get some lunch.
I think I would like me. But I think I would have been like, and how the hell did this happen? How is this your life?
I always think about it when I have, like, when you meet crispy people, when you meet, and crispy's probably a good word. And you always think about, like, man, did you see yourself being this much of a jerk when you were 15? Did you realize that you were going to grow up and be an a-hole? Did you realize that? Did you know that about you? Did you know that you're going to, like, fuss and moan about the mailman and,
get off my lawn?
You're going to be cussing about picking up poop in a plastic bag? Like, I literally just throw it on the neighbor's yard, man. Just keep moving. Smile, dude. Let it go. Did you know that you were going to be that crispy?
Yeah, and
that's kind of like what I was thinking about. Like, man, you're so filled with, like, I want this relationship. I want love. I want this. I want that. And what do you do to fight for it? What do you do on a daily basis to nurture it? Like, you get something.
Well, so that's the thing when I was saying about recognizing, because life gives you so many opportunities to be bitter, resentful, and disappointed.
Yes.
It gives them to you every other day.
Yes.
Your computer doesn't work for a week and you need your computer for work. You are very disappointed. And then I keep thinking, is it my energy that breaks the computer? Why does my computer break? Everyone's relying on all this technology. My life will be devastated because I can't rely on this technology.
Yes.
Because
that's funny.
Everyone is talking about, like, oh, AI is going to solve everything. I'm like, really? Because I didn't have email for a week. No one could solve it. I just had to pay more money to get more email. Like, I don't know.
When on there.
Would your 22-year-old self? What would your 22-year-old self say about you?
I think we definitely would fist bump.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there's lots of parts of me. Yes, I think she would definitely recognize herself.
Do you think she'd have any surprises?
I don't know. I actually don't know about that. I have to think about that.
So the part of myself that surprised myself was my finding the God that I left.
Yeah.
That's a big piece that that's the part of me that I would not recognize. Like, how did you get to be this person now? Because I thought I was so staunchly like, no one's helping you.
I think it sounds weird, but when you ask me that question, my first gut says, I think I've always known me. I've always known me without knowing that I've known me. Because I feel like, I was like, well, what would that be as a core value? Because I think I've listened to my intuition more often than not. I think she might be surprised about some of the things that I've gotten myself into. But I think I've always known, yes, I will push that boundary. No, that's not a boundary that I will push. I feel like I've had a set of bumpers, so maybe I feel like I've known me on a certain level without consciously knowing I was me. Does that make sense?
It does. My 22-year-old self was not very forgiving. That's why I had a lot of people in my life and a lot of people out of my life, because something would happen to be like, that's done.
Well, I know that I'm determined, and I've always known that I'm determined to get what I want. Sometimes I don't know how I'm going to go get it, or I know that I am determined what something is right for me or wrong for me. Sometimes I have to go through a long process before I'm consciously aware of it. But I do think that, that's not good. And so when I feel like I start talking like, ooh, this is not good, or this might be the end, it makes me nervous, because I already know if something doesn't change, I already know that about me, that it will die on the vine. I cannot do it by myself. So I do know that about me.
Yeah, I had that. So I was very much similar in, like, even when I was young, I didn't tend to break up with someone, go back with them, break up with someone. It was like, break up, light switch off, room closed, done.
Yes.
And people at the time, it was very popular for you to, like, have something with someone, have it go away, have something, like, even friends and love interest or whatever. And I was room done. If it didn't work, I don't need to keep re-examining it. And I think that was because the relationship with my mother was so difficult. But and I was like, if I'm not giving that there, I don't need to give it to anybody else.
Yeah. Well, I think you automatically knew. I
think
a part
you couldn't
of your
change
body,
people.
I think a part of your core knew that this is not something that's going. This person's not going to vibe with me.
I think I knew, like, you can't change people.
Yes.
People are who they are unless they want to change.
But man, they put on a good show sometimes.
They do, and I was, but because I had the life experience growing up the way I did, I wasn't falling for it.
Yeah,
I wasn't. Remember Eddie Murphy used to have that movie, Don't Fall for the Banana in the Tailpipe? Like, I wasn't falling for the banana in the tailpipe.
Yeah.
And that was almost to spite my face a little bit. That's the part of me that wouldn't recognize me now. Like, oh.
I feel like I give it until I have removed all doubt. If I know, like if I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because sometimes I think you walk into a feeling, like I don't feel like I'm definitely like a Jack Russell. I will fight to the death for something that I believe in. But even take a plant, we're growing these bonsais, and I do a lot of gardening and stuff outside, and there's many times I have tried to save trees, or plants, and you do everything that you possibly can, but at some point you just have to know when it's not. And so I think that part, my 22-year-old self would be a little bit disappointed in me of saying, you knew it, you should have pulled the trigger sooner. Because I know that about me. I will pull the trigger. But sometimes sometimes that's me giving my power away. I will explore it until I can confidently walk away and say, it's done.
Yeah, but
because once I'm done, then I'm done. There isn't any going back. And I think that you knew that about you.
Yes, because
early in those relationships.
Yes, because I had such a tumultuous relationship with my mother and then with my family that I was willing to walk away for self-preservation. I had that selfish instinct of like, I can't thrive in this environment, so I am leaving this environment. And if I could leave my entire family, the people who are my blood, who claim that they love me, but I'm not seeing it, like, I'll tell you what I've told you what I need to have love in my life, and if you can't give it to me, I will never speak with you again.
Well, I think
that a stranger was like, you need to give. If I can do that with blood, I could certainly do that from someone who I don't know from a hole in the wall.
Well, we grew up thinking, hearing that saying, blood's thicker than water and blah, blah, blah. No, man, there's been a lot of blood that has really not shown up for people. A lot of families use.
Well, I think that's also the cycle of abuse.
Yes.
I think when you think, I remember distinctly the time when someone would say, no, you're strong. You can handle this. And I thought, no, you're just abusing me. You telling me that I'm strong is your permission to abuse me.
Right.
Like that. Right. That very much like, I'm strong, so just keep punching. Like, and it wasn't a physical violence, so it wasn't a physical violence. But if someone did it, if every insult was a punch, and you just say, you're strong, you can take it. You've got this.
Every harsh thing was a physical touch that you could feel. It is abusive.
Yeah, people so at some point, mental and physical abuse it's easy to walk away from physical abuse because you're like, all right, it's not cool that you're hitting me or you're not cool or whatever. But mental abuse, it just wears you down. Well, over time.
You do. And like mind games, it doesn't even have to be verbal. It can be just withholding love, just withholding even physical touch or gentleness or intimacy or, just withholding communication. Those are all ways of like holding someone hostage and you should never be in a relationship, whether it be any kind of relationship, a parental relationship, a marriage, a friendship, all of these things, when it takes something out of you in order to love that person, you feel like you're having to sacrifice a part of who you are. That's the wrong relationship. It should be value for value. It should be giving, hey, you know what you're willing to do to show up to this person, and this person is not, then you're not in alignment. Your core values are not aligned.
You're not the right people for now.
Right.
Maybe you will be the right people later. Like, and I did end up communicating with my family again and whatnot, but I left my family because I needed, they were not loving me, not only in a way that I needed, in a way that was actually
if I have to
proper.
starve something, if I have to starve a need in me in order to love you, that's not proper alignment.
Right. I will be by myself versus being abused in this thing. And my constant phrase back then was, someone has to cut the cycle of abuse. Only I used to use another word for it. Oh, now that I think back, I didn't actually use a cycle of abuse, but it was something of like, something has to. This is poison. Yeah. Something has to change within this poisonous thing.
Yes. You have to be the pattern interrupt.
Pattern interrupt, yeah. But I had, it was very much similar to pattern interrupt, but I actually had another thing for it because you could see, okay, this is the circle. It's just one continuous circle.
Yes.
And the circle goes down. Sometimes the circle goes up.
And you also want to be, to me, I feel like I want to be aligned with people that are going to say, hey, I'm going to be the pattern interrupt. I'm not going to, actually, I have this, and it's been playing in my head. It does relate. I wrote this a while back. It says, I'm not interested in where your ego takes you. I'm interested in where your spirit will lead you. Mm-hmm. So there's a surrender to me, our ego gets in the way. And sometimes, whether we're in trauma, or whether we're in a trauma response, or it doesn't allow us to be vulnerable. It doesn't allow us to move forward. And you're holding on to blame, shame, guilt, fault, all of these things instead of learning to grow. So in your spirit is saying, hey, I'm willing to surrender. I'm willing to learn. At least for me, that's how I take it away. Mm-hmm. When you know that's not something that's not working, if you have the power to change it and you don't change it.
And I think one of the biggest things of valuing what was happening at the time was I value honesty, because I value truth, because I felt like, and I feel this way about journalists today. We used to have journalists that they threatened to kill Howie Carr for coming out with the stuff that he came out with. They've literally threatened. They killed journalists because journalists are seeking the truth, because the truth is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Because how can you make good decisions unless you know what the truth is?
Right. Right.
And so that boiling into my relationship, if everyone in my family is lying, and I'm the one telling the truth, I'm the one who looks crazy. And I start to feel crazy because you guys all have the same story and I have a different story, but I know my story's true.
Right.
So it was going to be like, I'm not the crazy one, but I am the crazy one in this dynamic because everyone's playing a part in the play. And I just don't like this play.
Yeah.
And I think that was the 22-year-old me. And so now I've changed in such a way of, you can have your part in the play. I'm not participating in your play.
I don't have to sign up for that one.
But I also don't have to burn the bridge down, set explosives along the bridge.
I think that she would be. But I think that she would be. I think she would be proud of you because
I think she would be proud of me. Because she would not recognize that person.
She knew all
How
the
did
time.
you get there?
Well, so I also wrote down another thing about like family, community, like because family relationship is one of my core values. And also, like, expanding on that. To me, I want to be aligned where home should be looked at. And home is like, even when my kids, we're traveling, we're in Europe for 3 weeks, and they're like, can we go home? I know they're meaning the hotel, because that's wherever we stay, wherever we go. Hey, can we go home? It's time to go home. Or when are we going home? I know where they're talking about, because home should be your charging station. It should be like your phone. At the end of the day, it's where you go to get recharged. You get rejuvenated. You upgrade. It's where you can grow. It's where you get repowered. When the outside world knocks you down, like I like that. Instead of empowered, you get repowered. You get recharged. And I want people in my life that are willing to protect that and defend that. I want like-minded people that are going to agree that home should be a safe space. Home is where you should, and that's where you create your art. That's where you can learn who you truly are.
That's why I think the both of us are such feng shui or in home environment things, because that's what we need. That space needs to be a cocoon,
Yes.
so that we can be doing whatever we need to do to go out into the world.
Well, dude, if you're a king and that's your castle, if you're a queen and that's your castle, don't you want to defend it?
So I have
Not
to
just
say-
from the Democratic Party sliding stuff in your mailbox. You want to be defended from the spiritual energy, maybe that's too
The
woo-woo,
arrows,
but
the poison arrows that come from the world.
yes.
The poison arrows that come from
just
the world.
even the toxins from your coworkers, the bad environment or, the law. Yeah.
Whatever.
The self-checkout at Walmart, those things wear you down.
Right?
Like somebody at McDonald's not getting your order right,
Yeah, all of that stuff. At the end of the
Those
day.
are the darts. Those are the darts.
Yes.
Those are the things that take away from your life, You don't want to bring that stuff home, man. It's in your Garden of Eden. It's in your castle.
Yeah. It's really funny because I think I don't like. Let's see. Let's work through this and see if I'm a hypocrite to myself. So I don't like when people the word king, because I think king and lord are
Like Napoleon.
are synonyms, and I think simultaneously, what are you lording over people? What do you like? I know, like the idea, the king of the castle, and I do have a philosophy that you should always bring your man a beer or an iced tea or a sandwich, and I know that goes against like the feminist. We used to call them feminazis. The feminazi position of he's got 2 arms and 2 legs. I actually was going to name my cookbook F 'em and feed 'em.
Oh,
And
yes,
the F
I
is
love
being
that.
the swear.
Yes, I do.
Because what
that name.
it was a philosophy of how I came into the kitchen, and then I realized that you can't put F 'em and feed 'em without getting weird Google search results. So I thought marketing it would be difficult, so I didn't put that. But one of my philosophies in the kitchen is that's where we take care of people, and that's where we take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
And if you can't make, and this goes both ways, it's just bring your man a cup of tea. And the reason why I say that, or bring your man a beer when he's mowing the lawn or something, is because when I was in my 20s, we would have corporate events. And John would go and get a seat at a table somewhere, and I would go and bring the food because I would go up, I know what he likes.
Yeah.
I would make plates and I would serve him food. Nowhere did we go at any time in all of these events did anyone not criticize me for doing that. Women would lose their minds. They would be like, he's got 2 arms and 2 legs. He can go up and get that. And I'm like, I didn't have to cook it. I can bring it to him.
Right.
There's no skin off my back.
See, the thing is, I love being in service that way. I
Yes.
love being in service until somebody's like takes it. I wouldn't say take it for granted, but when it's not appreciated,
Yes.
it's not, when you're not getting
Well, I'm not serving you because I'm staff.
right.
I'm serving you because I want to do something for you.
Yes.
And that's where the
Yes.
king and the
Yes.
lord
yeah.
kind of get a little weird because, look I'm bringing you a beer. I'm bringing you a cup of tea. I'm making you a sandwich, but I'm not staff here.
See,
I'm doing it because I love you. I'm not doing it because you're lording over me and I'm the, me and the court jester are showing up with whatever. So it's so funny how
I'm bringing that so I can get you jeans later, boy.
trying to fatten you up and climb all over you.
Mama wants to play later.
But
So-
so it's so funny
yes.
that I don't
Fatten
know.
you up.
Yeah, I don't know why those coming from the person who literally was going to name their book, with the
Yeah.
major philosophy, bring your man a bear.
Yeah.
That kind of service to that relationship. But I don't like the word king. I don't even like the word queen because I think of monarchies.
See, I think of lions. I think of lions
Oh,
when I think
okay.
about kings and queens.
Maybe I
and
can
I
feel
don't think
better
really
about
But it's true because I like to be in that way. I like to be able to surrender.
Yeah, like when you come over my house and I'm bringing you a drink,
Yes.
right? So it has nothing to do
Yes.
with, it's let me.
I like being in service
yeah,
for the
take
people
care
that I
of
love.
you. Let me
Yes.
take care of you.
So I took this meme. It says men protect women in the physical world and women protect men in the spiritual world. And I think in spiritual world is being serving and being in service and handing them, like, it's my honor to serve you. Like, I don't mind. I want to surrender my female energy to that masculine energy. It's my way of saying, I love you. I appreciate you. I just want it returned.
Yes.
And that doesn't
in
have
the
to
way,
be,
and it's not bringing me another sandwich. It's protecting
making
me in
me
the
feel
physical
safe.
realm.
It's making me feel safe. It's making me feel secure. It's
Yeah.
making me feel loved. It's growing the environment that I can be that vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And so, see, I don't see that as sexist to being in service.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's a great play of masculine and feminine energy when they can appreciate that, and it makes them feel like, how can it not make you feel loved when someone comes in service to you? And
Mm-hmm.
like, I love, like, I would like leaving the little cards in the thing. Like, a lot of times I know that, if Chris is out of his deodorant, he never has to ask. It's like, oh, I saw you getting low. It's not even, we don't even share a drawer for deodorant in the same thing. But it's doing those little things, or it's leaving those little things. I know he loves Snickers, so a lot of times I'll leave it on the bathroom sink. Like, it's just for you. It's just yours. Like, that, I want that to be reciprocated. And I think that women don't live in that, don't have that.
Well, what I think is so interesting, so the 2 arms and 2 legs thing became a thing. Like, he's got 2 arms and 2 legs. And it's like, yeah, but I also don't put gas in my car. I got
Right.
2 arms and 2 legs. Like, there was,
Right.
but what I thought was really interesting about people being so upset about that, I'm like, you're having sex with this person, making a child with them, and then you're raising their kid, but you can't stomach to bring them a drink or a
Right.
plate of food you didn't have to cook. Something is off.
Right.
Like, if you have, and
Because we're in a me society. It's all about me.
yeah, but it was weird because it became the running joke: the 2 arms, 2 legs. I got 2 arms, 2 legs. But it was a weirdly fascinating issue that we noticed for 10 years, and then we just stopped paying attention to it because it was like, all right, this is boring. This is actually a boring thing that people are this bent out of shape. Or that, and it was always women that commented negatively, and men were always like, oh, wow, you never bring me a plate. And, that would
Right.
start some kind of argument. So me doing that always set off something else in somebody else in their relationship.
Yes.
It's very odd.
Yes. Well, it kind of is. It's people don't realize that when you speak, you're actually giving away of who you are. So when people are saying that stuff, I just well, then you don't have a good relationship.
Mm-hmm.
You feel whether you're carrying. You might have a good. You might have a what do you call
But
it?
what I was
complacent relationship.
But what I thought was interesting at the time was, if you and I went somewhere, I would one of us go get us a table. I'll go do whatever. Like,
You divide and conquer.
I think we're dividing and conquering.
Yes.
And and the other thing that I thought was really strange was, lady, I didn't make the food.
Right.
I would bring you a plate if you asked me. What's
Right.
how resentful and angry are you that
Right.
you see
Right.
this
Right.
as a monumental act?
Yes.
And I knew
Because she's living with in bitterness and resentment, and being able to see, the more that you become self-aware, the more it's kind of like a double-edged sword, because the more that you become self-aware of your flaws and your triggers and your traumas, you see everybody else's traumas too.
yes.
Because of the way they're responding, the way that they're showing up. And it's like, dude, I'm just over here trying to heal my own trauma. And like, yours is like screaming at me right now. Do you not
Right.
hear that?
Right.
And I think a lot of times we forget to be kids. One of my random thoughts is when we were talking about relationships, I have in my notebook, it says, when did we lose our sense of adventure with each other? When did we forget to sprinkle in a raunchy romance novel? You know what I mean? I was like, all right, where'd that go, Robyn? What were you doing thinking about that? But I was just thinking, like, do you know how we're always putting our best foot forward in our relationships? Like when we meet a new friend and we meet a new partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, and we're dating, and why do we do these things to like wow them and to say, I see you? And
Well, a lot of relationships is lying at the beginning. I
set
think
the
it's like, look at my best. Do you like this? Look at my best self. And then at some point we have to get into, but that's why it's really important.
See, I didn't put candles and music around because I was trying to impress you. Like,
No, that's who you
want to
really
live
are.
in that space.
Yes.
And so it's hard for when somebody's like, oh, that was just to get in the door.
Right. Well, I think that goes to the fact that you're who you really are versus putting up a front of who you really are. Because I think and I think every person has some element of a facade.
Yeah.
Right, the facade. I joke that we should all be more charming in the world.
Yes.
I really mean that,
Yeah.
though. And that doesn't people sometimes see charming as flirtatious.
But again, it's putting your best foot forward. I
Right,
think
and it's like,
it's
but if I make you feel, I think charming is making you feel better about yourself after I leave.
yes.
To
Well,
me,
it
that's
started with that
charming.
whole It started with, I don't even know, we can't pinpoint it exactly, but I think that it all started with the whole me generation. The whole me movement of, hey, I'm only going to worry about me. It's going to be what makes me feel good. But you don't realize what makes me feel good is if I make you feel good, we both feel good. Like if I show up, and it's like we've stopped caring about how we show up in the world. You know, we wear our sweatpants and our fuzzy fleeces and, you know, our dirty slippers to Walmart or Hannaford's.
Can I say one thing? I was walking in Walmart for the roller skates, right? I'm in Walmart, wringing out, and this guy had a pillow with him, and he was just holding the pillow with one arm and wringing out everybody else with the other arm. And this arm did work, because I did see at one point the woman asked for something, and she's like, I need that bag. He did have to reach with the other arm, and so it's not like the arm did, but he almost had like when I was 5 and I had a blanket.
Security blanket.
He had a security blanket. It was a blue pillow. Wow. And I'm like, wow, I'm not at the airport, but I see people with their pillows at the job. I would love to know what that's all about.
Like, what world did I walk into?
And he had it in his armpit. It was the strangest thing. Walmart's always the strangest place to me.
Yes.
People of Walmart website, I should have taken a
Yes.
picture and posted it. But go on. Oh, we're actually at the top of the hour.
Dang,
We're getting to the top of the hour.
I feel like, well, so one of my...
So
if
leave
I
me
can
with one
find
more
it.
value.
All right, let me get back to it real quick. Oh, dun, dun. Be curious.
Curiosity is one of my
I think
values.
you should always be curious.
And
So,
laughter is one of
yes,
my
because I think
values.
curiosity kills judgment
Mhm.
is a good one. But also, you're expanding. Live with passion.
Mhm.
I think you should be passionate. You should have passion in your life and seek joy.
Yes, passion's a great one.
So I think if you're seeking joy, if you're always seeking joy, how can I bring joy?
Mm.
Finding the good. It's finding the good.
Mm.
So, if home is your fortress, home is your recharging station, and you protect it, you put those things in to that so that you can seek joy, find joy, have joy, and radiate outward.
That's a perfect place to end.
That's my thoughts.
Thank you for listening to Lisa and Robyn on the mic on WSMN 1590 AM, 95.3 FM. You can always watch us stream WSMN.live, as well as Facebook, YouTube. You can catch up on previous episodes on those channels, plus Spotify. Next week, have a fantastic Thanksgiving. We hope you have,
Yes.
if not family to spend it with that you like, go find some friends that you like and have a Friendsgiving. But we wish you a happy, grateful week.
Yes.
Until next week.
WSMN 95.3 FM Nashua. Listen, watch, and stream at WSMN.live.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. The Illinois Supreme Court has overturned actor Jussie Smollett's conviction on charges that he staged a racist and homophobic attack against himself in downtown Chicago in 2019. Smollett, star of the TV show Empire, had appealed the conviction, arguing a special prosecutor should not have been allowed to intervene after charges were initially dropped. A warning for Republicans voting on President-elect Trump's cabinet picks.
One senior Trump advisor told ABC News the message is, quote, if you are on the wrong side of the vote, you're buying yourself a primary. That is all. And there's a guy named Elon Musk who is going to finance it. The Trump advisor added, quote, the president gets to decide his cabinet, no one else.
ABC Chief Washington Correspondent Jonathan Karl. Could be lower interest rates, could be that there's more inventory on the market. Either way, sales of previously owned homes rose in October. This is ABC News.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Whether you're shopping along 101A, working out at one of the many boutique gyms or studios in the area, or simply enjoying a nice day out with the kids, you need healthy fuel to keep you going. Look no further than Clean Juice Nashua, your local neighborhood juice bar. Hi, I'm Mary Beth Fiango, owner of Clean Juice. We are located at 2 Cellu Drive in Nashua. Clean Juice is the only USDA certified juice bar that offers you the purest, organic, cold-pressed, never processed juices, smoothies with hemp and whey protein, acai bowls like our fan favorite, the berry bowl, and small bites like avocado toast and barbecue chicken wrap to help you thrive and stay on the go. For more information, visit us online at cleanjuice.com or stop by at Clean Juice, 2 Cellu Drive, Nashua. Stay fresh, stay healthy. We look forward to serving you.
American Medical Response wants you to be safe this winter season. Here are some tips for driving in winter conditions. Take it slow. Allow plenty of time to get to your destination. Allow more time and distance to adequately brake and stop. And remember to always clear off the ice and snow from your vehicle before you drive. It's the law in New Hampshire, and you risk being ticketed if you don't. Check out more safety tips at amr.net/safety. AMR medics are here for you every hour of every day.
The views and opinions of the following show do not reflect those of WSMN, its owners, and/or associates.
Thank you for listening to WSMN 1590 AM and 95.3 FM. The following program has been previously recorded.
Her mother said she had itchy feet. That curiosity and a passion for life has led her to travel, explore, and ask the big questions. Now back in her hometown of Nashua, Lisa Law fills our hearts, our homes, and our communities with her hopeful messages and inspiring guests. Join her for an hour of positivity, because together we can create a more positive world. The Lisa Law Show. And now, your host, Lisa Law.
Welcome, everyone. You're listening to The Lisa Law Show in an hour of positive energy. I'm Lisa Law, streaming worldwide at WSMN.live. We're at 1590 AM and 95.3 FM. I'm also live on Facebook at The Lisa Law Radio Show. This show's a positive place to spend time, share inspiration, and meet people making a difference in the world around them. So good morning, Nashua. I hope everyone's waking up. It's been another beautiful fall week here in New Hampshire. We've really had an extended season this year, and it's been really nice to get that extra time outdoors and the sun shining bright. And we have George behind the scenes here helping us get on the air today. Hi, Amy, if you're listening today. And if you're just joining us for the first time, welcome. And if you're coming back regularly, I appreciate you listening, and I hope to share some positive energy with you today and inspire you and maybe bring you some glimmers. And so the glimmer being the opposite of a trigger, something that makes you feel more positive and sends you down a positive path instead of a negative path. So I have some glimmers going on in my life. My daughter, as you know, has been living with us for the last 6 months, and they moved into their house a couple weeks ago, and they've been slowly moving all their stuff out of my house. And so the whole upstairs pretty much is cleaned out, a couple more boxes. And then my son has moved into my in-laws' house out in Hollis. So he lived with us for the 2 years before Victoria and Lucas. And so he's been moving his stuff out. So all of a sudden my house can breathe again. And I've absolutely loved having them underfoot, love having them around, but I also am really enjoying we turned a downstairs room into a guest room, and we just had people spilling out in every direction, so now that's a sitting room again, and my office only has one desk instead of Hunter's desk in there too, and so we have a little bit more space, but they're all going to come over for make your own pizza tomorrow night, so we're going to develop some new traditions. And I'm also excited that Victoria is going to be hosting her very first Thanksgiving in her new house, and so we'll be helping her with that. But it's exciting to see her move into that next step. It seems like everybody in the Law family is moving around. Victoria is moving down the street, and my in-laws actually moved into the Hunt community last Wednesday, and so they've been going through 60 years of stuff in their house, and we've been finding some treasures. They ended up giving us a clock, an antique clock that Brian's grandfather had refurbished for his dad, and they had this antique clock, and they're like, what do we do with this? And so there's a niche in our family room in a fireplace, and we've never had the right thing, and we put the clock in there, and it looks like it's always been there. So it's kind of neat, the little treasures that we're passing around within the family. So that's all it's been stressful, I will say, but it's also nice to see all my people in their place and settling in, and I want them all to be happy there. And then I always share a story about my chapel, or an update about my chapel, and I wanted to share that recently, I've got a lot going on, admittedly, all these people moving around and everything happening. And I was over at my chapel recently, and it was a young family, and the parents were renewing their vows, and their young girls were there too. And we were about halfway through the ceremony, and the girls were just so into it, and the whole family, it was just a wonderful feeling event. And we did a sand ceremony to include the girls, and I stood there and I was like, oh my God, there is no place I would rather be than right here at this moment, facilitating this beautiful moment for this family. And, I'm very, very lucky that I guess it's been an evolution, so I guess it's not so much luck, but it's, I've been allowed to continue to follow, passions and things that bring meaning to my life for work. And this last incarnation of Lisa Law, I'd say every probably 10 or 15 years, I change my job, but it's always like the next step in the evolution. And I'm just really happy that the chapel has been like this glimmer every time I'm over there. It's really been wonderful. I do have a couple of elopements this week, a meeting with some couples later on today, 2 couples, and to figure out what they want to do for their wedding. And a lot of people get engaged this time of year. Between Thanksgiving and Valentine's Day is when most people get engaged. And so this will be the time when I start meeting with couples to plan their 2025 events. So that's always fun, and it's always an honor that they choose me to officiate for them and facilitate their special day. So coming into Thanksgiving, I wanted to share more gratitude, and one of my guests today, I work out with him at least once a week, and it's always a positive place to be. He's a great listener. He's very motivational, and we share a lot about the gratefulness that we both have in our life. And I hope I feed off of him as much. I feed off of him, and I hope I feed off.
You feed me?
Yes.
I'm taking bites from you as well.
I'm hoping that I share glimmers to you too, Ben.
You kind of got boxed in by your own syntax. You're like, oh, where do I go from here?
Yeah, no, I know. It's